Hello everyone, welcome to a review session on AP Computer Science today, specifically Unit 2 using objects. In this session we'll dive into important concepts such as objects, void methods, string methods, and the math class, so let's begin. Well, what are objects? In object-oriented programming, objects are the building blocks of programs. They represent real-world entities or concepts and encapsulate both data and behavior. Objects have properties called instance variables and perform actions through methods. Now that we understand objects, let's move on to void methods. Void methods are methods that do not return a value. They perform a specific action or task, but they don't produce any output that can be stored or used elsewhere in the program. For example, let's say that we have a void method called printMessage that simply prints a message to the console. It might look something like this. It is important to note that while void methods cannot return a value, it can still print one. So here, hello world is printed. Moving on, let's discuss string methods. Strings are a fundamental data type in Java, representing sequences of characters. String methods allow us to manipulate and work with strings effectively. There are 5 main string methods tested on the AP CSA exam, as displayed on the screen. First is the length method, which returns the length of the string as demonstrated by the example below. Here we have a string object called message, holding the value hello with an exclamation mark. When we print this using the length method, it prints the length of the string, which is 6. Then there's a substring, which can extract portions of a string based on given indices. There are 2 forms of the substring method. One that takes in only one parameter, which prints the given string starting from the index in the parameter, and another that takes in 2 parameters and returns the string beginning at the first parameter value all the way to the second index subtracted by 1. Using the scenario below, we see that the first parameter prints HEL, while the second prints O along with the exclamation point. It is important to remember that for the 2-parameter method, that you don't include the index on the second parameter, but the index before it. Compare-to method compares 2 string character by character. If they are equal, it returns 0. The first string is alphabetically ordered before the second string, which is the argument of compare-to. It returns a negative number, and if the first string is alphabetically ordered after the second string, it returns a positive number. The actual number that it returns does not matter, but it is the distance in the first letter that is different. For instance, we see that the first compare-to statement prints 0, since the 2 strings are identical. However, the other 2 statements print 7 and negative 18 respectively. This is because the first letter of AND, which is A, is 7 letters behind the first letter of the method string, which is H. Same exclamation can be used to explain why the last compare-to method prints negative 18. The equals method compares the 2 strings character by character and returns true or false. Both compare-to and equal are case sensitive, meaning that capital letters also matter when comparing the strings. In this case, the first statement will print true, while the second will print false, due to the lowercase h. Lastly, the index of method searches for the string in the current string and returns the index of the beginning of the string in the current string, or negative 1 if it isn't found. This may sound confusing, so let's look at an example. Using the same scenario as before, we see that the first index of statement will equate to 1 because EL appears in the first and second index. However, we have to take the index of the first letter, which would be 1. In the second index of statement, H appears to be the first letter, so therefore it will print 0. Lastly, let's explore the math class. The math class in Java provides a set of predefined methods for mathematical operations. It allows us to perform common mathematical calculations conveniently. There are 4 types of methods used in the math class. The first finds the absolute value of either an int or a double type. The second returns the value of the first parameter raised to the power of the second parameter. The third method here returns the positive square root of a double value. Lastly, the random method returns a double value greater than or equal to 0.0 and less than 1.0. Let's take another look at an example. If you try to find the absolute value of number, which is 4.5, it remains 4.5 since that is the absolute value. Next, if we find 4.5 raised to the power 4, we can get approximately 410.0625. Then, if we square root the number, we get approximately 2.1213. Note that we can get rid of these decimals through casting, as demonstrated here. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching.